What is enlightenment? How do you know when you have reached it? Is it something distant, unattainable, reserved for the rare few, or is it within each one of us waiting to be realized? How do you recognize the signs of an awakened being? Dear seekers, today let us explore these questions together. Enlightenment is not a destination, it is an unfolding of that which is already within you. It is not like a journey where you travel from one place to another, but it's rather like a seed growing into a tree. It is a natural unfolding of your true essence. A lotus that blossoms, but it was always there, hidden beneath the murky waters. The signs of enlightenment are not achievements, they are not medals to be worn on your chest. They are simply manifestations of your true nature emerging into consciousness. Let me tell you, the journey towards enlightenment is more of a sharing than an acquiring. You're not adding anything new to yourself, but rather you are losing the veils that have kept you from seeing the truth of who you really are beyond this body mind complex. One of the first signs of enlightenment is an effortless stillness. It is a deep inner silence. This stillness, dear seekers, is really significant because it reflects a detachment from the mind, an ability to observe thoughts without being caught up in them. It is the beginning of true freedom, where you no longer identify with the fluctuations of the mind. The mind becomes like a serene lake, unperturbed by the storms of life. When the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, the world continued its chaos. Mars' temptations danced before him, but there was no response, no ripples within him. That stillness, dear seekers, that calm that cannot be shaken, that is the sign. Not an enforced quietude, but the natural stillness that comes when you are no longer identified with your thoughts. The Upanishads speak of this stillness as Shanti, which is a peace that passes all understanding. It is a silence that is not just the absence of noise, but the presence of an infinite depth and awareness that is untouched by any disturbance. This kind of stillness becomes your very essence. Like the roots of a tree, deeply anchored in the earth, unaffected by the winds. A Zen master was once asked, "What do you do after enlightenment?" He replied, "I chop wood, I carry water." The mundane becomes sacred when the ego is dissolved. Enlightenment doesn't mean that you leave the world. What it means is that you are now fully in it, but not of it. You chop wood, you carry water, but there is no burden. The second sign of enlightenment, dear seekers, is this ease with which you embrace life, which means the absence of resistance. Life flows through you, and you become a vessel through which existence expresses itself. The Gita speaks of Nishkam karma, which is the action without desire, an action that is pure because there is no attachment to the result. Unlike ordinary action, which is driven by personal desires and expectations, Nishkam karma is performed selflessly, with no concern for gain or reward. It is a dance where the dancer vanishes, leaving only the dance. You become like a flute, hollow and empty, allowing the divine music to flow through you. In this state, dear seekers, every action is filled with grace. There is no struggle, no conflict, but only a deep acceptance of what is. Another sign is boundless compassion, which is a love that knows no conditions. When Buddha saw a wounded swan shot by an arrow, he picked it up and tended to it. His cousin, who had shot the arrow, claimed the bird. Buddha simply said, "The one who saves has a greater right than the one who tries to destroy." This compassion, dear seekers, arises not from morality, but from the realization that you are everything. When you see yourself in others, how can you harm them? Compassion is not an effort anymore, it is spontaneous. It is like the fragrance of a flower. The flower does not decide whom to spread its fragrance to, it simply shares itself with all. The enlightened being, seeing the suffering of others as his own, and responds naturally, without calculation, without thinking. This compassion is not limited to human beings. It extends to all forms of life, to the trees, to the rivers, and to the mountains. It is an all encompassing love that embraces the entire cosmos. A fourth sign of enlightenment, dear seekers, is the disappearance of fear, particularly the fear of death. Death to an enlightened being is not an end but a return. It is a dissolving back into the source. The fear of death exists only for the ego. And once you see that you're not this body, not this mind, the fear vanishes. In the Gita, Krishna tells Arjun, "You grieve for those who should not be grieved for. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead." The enlightened one knows he is eternal. Death is simply like changing old clothes for the new ones, a moment of freedom, not a calamity. When you understand that you are the eternal witness, untouched by birth or death, fear loses its grip on you. This realization brings a profound freedom. It brings a lightness of being. You no longer cling to life, and because of that, you can truly live. Every moment becomes precious, every breath a gift, because you are no longer afraid of losing anything. The fifth sign of enlightenment is spontaneity, which is to live life without a script. The enlightened person is unpredictable, like the wind. Lao Tzu has said, "The sage is like a child, innocent, playful, not burdened by the past, not anxious about the future." When you are spontaneous, you are in tune with existence, flowing with it rather than against it. Life is no longer a struggle, it is a celebration. It is the realization that the whole universe is playing, that existence itself is a great celebration. It is a Leela, as the Vedantic sages call it. The enlightened being moves with the rhythm of life, responding to each moment with totality. There is no hesitation, no fear of making mistakes, because there is no ego to protect. Just like a child playing in the rain, there is no concern for getting wet. There is only the joy of the moment. Another aspect of enlightenment, dear seekers, is a deep sense of gratitude. Imagine waking up in the morning and feeling immense thankfulness just for the air you breathe, for the warmth of the sun, and for the simple act of being alive. This gratitude can manifest in everyday moments, like appreciating a meal, not just for its taste, but for the effort of nature and people that brought it to your plate. The enlightened one lives in this constant state of appreciation, seeing every moment as a miracle. The enlightened one feels grateful for everything, for the air, for the sunlight, for the food, for the very experience of being alive. This gratitude, dear seekers, is not directed towards anyone in particular. It is a state of being. You are grateful because you realize that everything is a gift, that existence is continually showering you with blessings. This gratitude brings a sense of wonder. It brings an innocence that makes even the simplest things seem miraculous. You look at a flower and it is no longer just a flower. It is an expression of the divine. It is a manifestation of the same energy that flows through you. This sense of gratitude, dear seekers, turns every moment into a prayer. It turns every breath into a communion with the divine. Dear seekers, enlightenment is not something that happens to you. It is something that is already there, waiting to be recognized. It is like the sun that is always shining, even when hidden behind the clouds. These signs, inner stillness, effortless action, boundless compassion, fearlessness, spontaneity, and gratitude, are simply the rays of that sun breaking through the clouds of ignorance. They are indicators that the light is beginning to shine through, that the truth is beginning to be revealed. Remember, dear seekers, do not seek these signs. The seeking itself is the obstacle. Just be and allow the unfolding. When the fruit is ripe, it falls on its own accord. When your being is ready, enlightenment simply blossoms. It cannot be forced, remember this. It can only be allowed. Thus, relax into your own being and let the miracle happen. The journey is not about striving, but about surrendering. It's about letting go of all that you are not, so that what you truly are can come into the light. Trust in the process, trust in existence, and know that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The seed does not need to force itself to grow. It simply allows the sun, the soil, and the rain to do their work. In the same way, let go and allow the grace of existence to guide you towards your own flowering, towards your divine, conscious, infinite nature.